the world around us is very rich in terms of information content, and it's complex and it's ever-changing. And if we didn't have a theory of the world to simplify, to filter the information that we are getting, we would be paralyzed into inaction. So therefore, there is a reason why all of us, smart people or dumb people, actually have mindsets. Even kids are born, infants are born with mindsets that are programmed by genetics based on past learning. And of course, like theories, mindsets evolve through these S-curves. And again, we know of scientists who are always curious, who are always saying that because I know how the atom works or how electrons work and so on, it isn't the final word. It isn't the final theory, the grand theory of anything. There is always a lot that I don't know. And so it's this curiosity about the world, basically a fundamental belief that the theory that I have is a theory good enough only until I have discovered a better theory. That's what scientists do. And scientists, of course, are looking at the natural world, which isn't changing as rapidly, like physics. It's looking at a natural world that isn't changing a whole lot. But managers, leaders, you're looking at a social world, at an economic world that's changing. And so think about that if even in science, theories must constantly be questioned. How about in business, where in fact our theories, our mindset must be questioned even more? So that's the why I think this whole thing about the concept of mindset is a very important one, not only for leadership in general, but certainly in the context of a global business. Now, because we are programmed to operate in this world with theories, that mindsets are both enabling as well as crippling. I talked about how they serve as information filters. They enable us to make sense of what's going on around us. They avoid paralysis by analysis. And think about just like driving, that if we had to analyze every bit of information while driving, we would be paralyzed. And so that's an example, very simple example of what does it mean to be a sales manager, or to be an executive VP, or to be a CEO. So we operate with these mindsets. But because the mindsets are a product of our past experience, there is also a big danger that they can be crippling. And so the trick really is to how to operate like a scientist who basically is constantly questioning what I believe to be true, to constantly be somewhat ahead of the unfolding reality around us. And I think about just an example of how mindsets in the context of now moving away from people like Harry Warner or Charles Duell, the Office of the Commissioner of Patents, is to look at the world of business. Amazing stories, It's like, look at the CEO of Chrysler. Now, it's something I don't know from firsthand, but it's been published in a report that the CEO of Chrysler went to India in 2000 and said, basically, more or less, quote unquote, it says, call me when you have built some roads. That's 2000. You know what? In predictions, 2015, there might be more cars built in India than in the US. And that's 15 years. What kind of a mindset? Think about, once again, focusing on India, is Jack Welch. So he goes to India in 1986 to see if there is something to sell. Concluded there wasn't actually a market opportunity for General Electric back in 1986. But what he did see was that there were a lot of bright people. But actually, those bright people were being underutilized. And he therefore said, hey, maybe we can actually put some software development in India. And it was, in fact, GE, not companies like Infosys or Tata Consulting or others, that in many ways really kick-started the globalization and the emergence and the growth of India's IT industry. So Jack Welch saw something that wasn't obvious. He saw the future, whereas the Chrysler CEO in 2000, if the story is true, what he was seeing was the present and the past. So the challenge for us is how can we be somewhat ahead, at least a few years ahead of the reality that seems to be obvious.